All right, so here we go again for those who need it only. You know, I get, even if you just want it, I guess it's not only if you need it. I'm trying to do something with this logo because it's not mine, but whatever. I was looking at logos, and I'm gonna post something about logos later because it has something to do with this thought right here. And this thought right here is about perfection. You know, and the thing about logos and perfection is that it's a big tie-in to perfect symmetry and to grasping the eye and connecting with the audience. But what I want to say about perfection in humans, being a perfectionist, want to do everything as right as possible, has hindered me in my life. It has caused me to not move forward as fast and as far as I could go, because it's caused analysis paralysis. I wouldn't even move. I'm analyzing things so much, and I got to get this in place, I got this in place, and to the point where I just didn't do stuff, to the point where I messed up a project. I draw. I love drawing. I'm not the best artist, in my own opinion, but I've learned to accept my art as uniqueness for what it is, which is very important, especially for an artist. But I had this picture, Calvin and Hobbes, you know, the cartoon. And Hobbes drew his girlfriend, gave her a flower, had one little mistake. Everything else was beautiful. Kept erasing that piece, kept erasing it. I put a hole in the paper. Now, it took me however long it took me to get this thing right. I was great, and I was moving on to that one little piece, and I was like, if I get this one little piece, it'll be great. I really literally erased a hole in the paper, messed up the whole thing. What did I learn from that? And I was a teenager, and as you see here, I'm no longer a teenager. I'm far removed from being a teenager. By the way, some teenagers get grace, so this is not about that, but I am far removed from a teenager. But what I learned was that if I'm trying to be so perfect all the time, I could end up ruining the whole thing. I can make this thing so much worse, you know? So I can move on something that's not 100%. I can move on something that's 90%, that's 85%. I can move on something that's a work in progress. And maybe even we'll never even get there to 100%. Maybe it would never ever be perfect, but will it be good enough? And we're talking balance, like all of these for those who need it. Really, we're talking balance. I'm pushing balance my whole time, you know, especially for a person like me who has been on extremes. My family and my environment is always at extreme, so I'm always pushing for balance. And I realize that doing that and trying to seek balance has helped me a lot more than I realized. But so instead of trying to be perfect, I was just trying to seek for not just good enough, because I'm not trying to settle for mediocrity, but at the same time knowing that you may never ever reach that perfect level. But now let me say something. Human beings don't want to be perfect a lot. You know, they say, well, humans are flawed and humans are not perfect, and people accept that. And okay, I'm not saying like, oh, go be perfect, but go strive for your own level of closest to perfect as you can be, closest to the best as you can be. You know, if we're going to try to draw a circle, we could just draw a circle and just go move on. But if you can sit there and say, let me spend a little bit more time to draw a better circle. Now, if you're finding that you're out of balance and you're not moving unless you get that circle perfect, you've spent 5 days trying to get this perfect circle. Well, that might be a little bit much, you know, so let's balance that out. Let's balance that. So I was imbalanced to the point where I was trying to be too perfect before I moved on. And a lot of humans are imbalanced on the other side, where they're not trying to be perfect at all. They're just like, and they're believing that they can't be. And it's not about, again, not reaching that perfect level. It's about reaching your greatness, right? So they don't believe that they can achieve a certain level of greatness because they accept that, oh, I'm perfect. Perfection doesn't reach me. Well, let's look at it like this. You were created perfectly flawed. All your flaws and all your character quips are perfect for your logo, for you. You know, you take something that is perfectly made and you put a piece of something on it that just makes it a little bit imperfect. Now people can't stop looking at it because their brain is like, well, this is right, but then it's not right. So their brain continuously looking at it. And what happens now? You've achieved what you achieved because you wanted people to look at your logo. So your logo, as you're born into, You know, you're born, you're phi base, right? So you're born as a perfectly flawed character, or if you want to use that term, flawed, right? So because however you were born, you have the faculties to do whatever your mission is, you know, and then your judgments say, this is a flaw, that's not a flaw. When realistically, it's just a character trait, and that character trait has value, you know? So as humans, on one side, we're not accepting to go for perfect, and then some of us are doing too much and trying to be perfect before we go, and then what we kind of try to do is move to the middle, and we have balance.